Yann, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you on a former motorway in the heart of Paris.
That's How delightful is that?
Oh my God, it's so cool. Certainly the transformation of Paris is well underway in many areas of urbanism. Also the bicycle. Now, there is a ranking of bicycle-friendly cities. Paris is in the top 20 in the world. Some people might think that's weird, but maybe that's just a sign that other cities are not doing enough, right? Tell me what it's like for you to cycle in Paris. How do you feel riding around the city?
It's definitely getting safer and safer. It feels more pleasant through the years. There has been a lot of progress that has been done since Mayor Anne Hidalgo is here. I cannot say that we're in a perfect world yet. There's still a lot of tension, mostly with drivers and motorcyclists. But you can tell that the huge increase of safe infrastructure that has been rolled out, mostly since the pandemic, you can tell that there's way more cyclists than before and that they definitely feel safer. You can see families, you can see kids, you can see older people, and there's definitely a change. So my experience, when I compare it to before, when all of this wasn't existing and it was just one big massive stressing commute, now it's definitely more and more like a cruising little commute, so this is definitely better, but there's a lot to improve still.
There are places where it's pretty cool. You go up into the 10th, you know, there's a lot of young people riding vintage bikes. It feels like a cool vibe. Now you have Rivoli,
yes,
with the huge motorway for bikes and a lot of, people blowing back and forth going to work. Then you have crazy intersections like one just up here, actually, Pont de Change, which
yes,
is still like, what is going on? So it is still in transition, right?
Yes.
But you feel positive about the political will to make it better, because there is still more political will on the way.
There's definitely a political goodwill in the city area in Paris in general. But the thing is that each mayor of each arrondissement has its own goodwill and its own view about cycling, so they don't put the same effort everywhere in Paris. So this is where you can have like some discontinuity in the cycling infrastructure. Some arrondissement will be great, it will be lovely, it will be safe, and then suddenly you cross the border of one arrondissement and it's like hell, like not safe at all. So this is, I would say, one of the biggest challenges in the coming years in Paris, is that making sure that you can cross entire city of Paris and go wherever in Paris and still feel safe.
Network, right?
Exactly.
Infrastructure network. I mean, do you agree that is the absolute key?
Yeah, infrastructure network is the key, because we like Paris is a big city, but still by bike you can cross the entire city quite fast, like, and anybody can do it.
It's only 12 kilometers by
exactly.
10. I only realized that a couple of years ago, and I've lived here, but I didn't realize it was actually that compact.
Exactly. It might feel big, but actually it's quite small, and anybody in a good health condition or with a good bike can travel the city and go from one point to another from opposite sides quite easily. But if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't feel safe, if you're a rookie on a bike, you will not make the choice of the bike because you will not feel safe. And when you know that feeling safe is the first condition to start cycling in an urban area.
I mean, just today, the film crew came from London on the Eurostar. We met at the Gare du Nord,
yeah,
and they got in a taxi, and I rode my bike, and I was waiting 10 minutes for them, right? So it's just like hanging out on the bridge, waiting for the taxi to arrive. But so it is quicker by bike, yeah. I mean, and that is the key. It also to getting people to ride is making it a fast A to B. No?
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, we know that in Paris, the average car speed is 14 kilometers an hour. So like anybody on a bike can go faster than this. And so definitely if we have the good network, anybody can go faster than a car in Paris. And that's the thing to me, like most people come to me asking like, oh, you're such an écolo, you're such a bobo, like you want cyclings everywhere. And to me, the main reasons why I cycle in Paris is not for ecological reasons. To me, it's just common sense, it's pragmatism. Like, I don't have time to waste in a car. Like, I will go faster. I'm so much more efficient in a bike in Paris. And that's the beauty of it. And like, now that we have this beautiful cycling infrastructure in most of the areas of Paris, it's such a delight to just cycle and go everywhere. And as you said, just going faster by car anywhere in Paris by bike.
Now, let's talk about the perception of cycling, because this was one of the world's great cycling nations, like
yes,
Italy, like Denmark, like the Netherlands, for 70 years until the transformation. A motorway shows up along the Seine in the 1960s. But what is the perception now? I know we have a short-term memory loss in cities where we forget that everybody used to ride bikes. There were cargo bike races in the 1920s in Paris. I mean, it was amazing. So what is the perception of cycling when you talk? You kind of mentioned it, like, oh, you're just a bobo, right? But I mean,
exactly,
do you feel like there is a change in perception the more bikes that show up?
I mean, I would say the perception is a tough one because of we are definitely badly seen by people who use cars because they can feel like we are taking their territory in the cities. Like they've been rightfully using the cars a lot in Paris for the past decades because the city was designed for cars, and now they kind of feel like we're taking the territory. So they kind of want us. Also, the media wants people to have a war between cars and bikes, and we just want to live all together peacefully. So the perception is tough because. And it's also very interesting because as cycling is for anybody and everyone, like for rich people, poor people, and so when you talk with people that are against cycling, they will either treat you of like an unemployed person, either they will see you as a wealthy person or as a bobo or something like that. So it's really the both sides of the spectrum. Then there's the more athletic perception of cycling, where like there's this very interesting thing to do if you go on a search engine and type cyclist in French, and you go into the image section of the search engine, you will only have white men from 30 to 40 years old on super expensive bikes during a performance, an athletic performance.
Wearing spandex.
Exactly, spandex, super athletic, and like screaming of effort or something like that. But if you look around us, like there's almost none of these people. And this is the thing, like, what is a cyclist? To me, a cyclist is someone who uses a bike. That's the simple question. But here in France, a cyclist is something who rides Tour de France or like participates in races and stuff like that. And so this is something we are trying to change with our project Les Rookies, is that we want to show the beautiful diversity of cyclists. We want to show that any need you have, any use you have of a bicycle, you can find a bike for you and it will work for you, especially if cities make it work for you.
So you're aware of this difference in perception where the word cyclist in many people's minds means that thing.
Yes.
And like I always say, we talked about this before we started, I'm not a cyclist. I just ride a bike everywhere, right? Because I'm a modern urban dweller in 2021, man. And if there's infrastructure, of course. But you're aware of this perception in your communication of Les Rookies, that you're trying to speak to a different crowd who maybe aren't inspired by or even care about spandex cycling.
Exactly. And this is actually the very reason why we created Les Rookies, is because there's a lot of media that shows cycling in a sport perspective. And our experience of cycling is about cycling around, discovering people, discovering new places, and just chilling, not being obsessed about our performances or whatever statistics. And so we were just like, wait, there's no one talking about cycling in this way. Maybe we should do something about it. And so this is why we created Les Rookies, where we fully embrace the fact that we are not here for performance. We're not here for the statistics. There's no competition. There's no judgment. Just came as you are, as I would say. And we just, so what is very important to us is to show the entire spectrum of cycling, from the urban commuter to the family, to the sport guy, to the traveler. Like, there's so many beautiful varieties to it.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you just cut out the sports part and only focus on, people like you and me on bikes?
Because we still fully respect the people who cycling in a sports way. Like, I can enjoy from time to time cycling and just for going full speed and something like that. And but it's definitely, we don't cut it out. We talk to it from time to time, but we definitely don't focus on it because there's definitely enough media attention about it.
How about we just start owning that hashtag? We should get together like the Cyclist in French, Cyclist, and start trying to fill up all of the Google search with,
That's actually a project we have.
I want in. I want in,
okay,
man.
let's go. We were thinking of making a video that would start with this search engine research, and just like being like, if you go to a kid and ask, 3-4 years old kid, what is a cyclist? He will tell you someone who rides a bike. Like, and that's the very naive best answer actually, that is, you're a cyclist. Like, no matter as long as you're on a bike, you're a cyclist.
Yeah. All right, cool. Now, I know the political dynamic here in Paris very well. I've interviewed the deputy mayor in charge of mobility, and he tells me about stories from the wars on Twitter. Now, most of the people who live in Paris generally support the politics and the visions of Hidalgo and David Belliard. All of the pushback comes from people who don't even live here, can't vote for these politicians, don't pay for the asphalt.
Yes.
How do you kind of like, ignore them because they are incredibly noisy on French Twitter and social media?
one of the biggest challenges as well, because we talked about the network in Paris, but it's very important to have this network connected to the outside of Paris as well, because we have huge suburbs in Paris. And if we don't make sure that the suburbs are connected to the inside of Paris, we'll have lots of people who don't have more choice than coming by car, and that will be incredibly noisy and who will feel a bit left on the side through the city's political move and dynamic. Because they won't feel like they have the choice, actually, because it's still a bit unsafe to come from the suburbs to Paris. It's getting there, but again, it depends of each city. Like each mayor of a city will have a better ambition or a better view about cycling, and some of them won't. And so, example, in my personal experience, I live 30 kilometers outside of Paris. The city I live is great for cycling. The two cities around my cities are great for cycling, but even in between my city and Paris, it's hell. And so it's like, I would love to peacefully encourage all my friends from the suburb to cycle to Paris, but I also understand that they don't feel safe.
So you're talking about the differences in opinions and politics inside Paris in all of the arrondissements,
Yes.
but then you also have all of the, I mean, it seems
Exactly.
like it's like a quilt, right? A patchwork of
Exactly.
different cities with different opinions. So that
Yes.
makes it more challenging, I think, generally.
For sure,
Yeah.
and so this is why we would hope like then Paris and the suburbs are from the same region, Île-de-France,
Yeah.
and we are all hoping that the next president of Île-de-France will kind of uniformize all it, and this is a big challenge for him. But again, it will depend of who will be elected, and we'll see.
But it's generally left in the city and right outside of the city, and it's always been that kind of.
Exactly.
So yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah.
All right, you're the voter here, not me, but man, good luck. Okay, we're sitting here talking about cycling. Two guys who know a few things about it, of course, but you created with Les Rookies a guide. Oh, here it is, conveniently located. No, but tell me about the guide and why you thought it was important to produce not only a printed guide, but an online version
Yes.
in order to encourage people to ride a bike. What was the whole idea behind that, and what is the goal?
So maybe I can go back a few years in my personal history, where I've been living in Amsterdam for a little while. And so obviously I was cycling to work and I was living my life on a bicycle. And then I came back to Paris and it was a little bit of a shock. And I kept the reflex of cycling in Paris, but I definitely felt like alone against everybody. And then I discovered this huge community of urban cyclists on Twitter that is super active. And then I discovered that the city of Paris is really listening to this community, and so that maybe there's something to do. So I was fighting and advocating for cycling on Twitter for years. And so I got this little recognition, has been recognized as a frequent cyclist in Paris, and showing all those videos and like highlighting everything that wasn't working well and stuff like that. And so it was really something that is deeply rooted in me, is like encouraging people to start cycling, because I've seen all the benefits in my own daily life and on the society around me. And to me, like, cycling is really the, as it's often said, the most simple solution to one of the most complex problems of our societies, like about benefits on our society, economical benefits, social benefits, everything, healthy benefits.
Yeah.
It's just so, it tackles so much solutions. And so then pandemic arrived. Just before the pandemic in France, we had huge strikes in the public transports. So it already started a discussion about cycling, people starting seeing cycling for going to work as a solution. So pandemic hit, people didn't want to go into public transports anymore because they were afraid of getting the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and at this point, we were starting Les Rookies, where we really wanted to show another image of cycling and encourage people to start cycling. And we thought, okay, we have some people at work who recognize us as the true cycling guys at work. And so they started coming at us with all the questions, like, how do I get a bike? Is it safe? Like, what do I do? How do I gear up? And stuff like that. So initially we started this little guide for friends at work. And we showed it at work, and people started sharing to wives, friends, family. And we thought, okay, maybe there's interest there. Maybe we can spread the word a little bit more. And so we thought, okay, let's do this free online cycling guide under the colors of Les Rookies, where we'll tackle everything. How to choose a bike? Do you rent a bike? Do you buy a new one? Do you buy an old one? What is the right bike for you? How to get the right size? How to dress up when it's raining? How to dress up when it's cold, when it's warm? How to transport things on a bike? What are the financial help that you get from the government to buy a bike? And so we basically did this 100-page document where we'll explain all that. So like someone who has never had any interest on getting on a bike could suddenly have all the answers in one document. So we published it on the day of the end of the lockdown, and we were not ready for the feedback we had. That was super positive. We've been supported by the Mayor of Paris, we've been supported by other cities, we've been supported by the Minister of Ecology in France, and we suddenly had a lot of attention on us and on that guide. We had some media coverage, and so we're very happy and also happily surprised because it meant that there's an interest, there's something there, like we tackled the right thing, like people want to get on bikes, but they just don't know how or when or like how to get there. And so this is how it all started. And then we had like some cities who asked us if they can print it. So we of course it's really a passionate thing. We do it for free by passion, and so we obviously like made it ready for print. And we got feedback from people like, oh, thanks to you now I cycle to work, it changed my daily life, and I can finally see all the advantages that you were talking to me about years, and now I can feel it. And it's we say like once you tried it, you just adopt it, and it becomes part of your life.
So it kind of just snowballed into something that you didn't expect.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And that's I was thinking of it at work the other day. When I was cycling to work, we were 2 or 3 cyclists in the parking for the bikes. And now we ran out of space. Okay. There's like 25 bikes. The company didn't go up. We just had more cyclists because I think projects like our guide and many other projects, the rise of safe infrastructure in Paris like just made it happen.
Okay, so where do you go from here? I mean, you have this guide that has,
yes,
been warmly welcomed by people, encouraged them to cycle. What possibly could you do that could top that? I mean, or do you need to?
I mean, for sure. I think now that we got people on bikes, the next level for us, or the next plan for us, is to help them live with them bikes, learn how to repair a bike, learn them how to maintain a bike in a good shape. We saw that we've been into lockdown and stuff during winter, so it's also helping them like, okay, now it's gonna rain, it's gonna get cold, how do you pass winter on a bike? So now we're making all those little social events that are divided in 2 categories. First, we have the social rides for people who don't feel comfortable starting cycling alone in a city. So we do these little social rides where we take them on a safe cycling path, and just so they have this little safe environment where we can tell them like, okay, when you come to an intersection, this is the best way to go through an intersection. When you have pedestrians, when you have someone parked on your cycling lane, which still happens quite often in Paris.
Which swear words are most effective to use to shout at the...
Exactly.
I want that list.
But no, so we do this first social rides that end up with social drinks, because this is something we like at Les Rookies. And then the other part is like now we're in touch with mechanics, where we'll do little events that will do little workshop on how to repair your bike, how to keep it in good shape and stuff like that.
Cool. Okay, so you have the guide available in French and English online. What advice can you give? Like, what's your briefest advice, your elevator pitch for somebody on a street corner who's got to go and you got them for like 30 seconds, why they should cycle and why they should be a part of the cycling revolution in Paris and other cities?
If tomorrow I come with a magic pill and I promise you that this pill reduces the risk of heart disease, or reduces your stress, improves your health, makes you more efficient, makes you never late again at work or at any meeting.
Sexier. Maybe.
Sexier, yeah. It actually improves your sexual performances as well. That's proven.
No, it's true. It's true. It's true.
And that also this magic pill makes your local businesses more rich, makes your society safer, less polluted. I'm quite sure you would take this pill. And well, it appears that this pill is simply a bike, and if you just take a bike and start riding it every day, you will have all those benefits.
What is your vision for a sustainable city now, using maybe Paris as your baseline? There's infrastructure, there's more coming, it's still kind of chaotic, a mix of designs, bi-directional, unidirectional, they're having trouble figuring out best practice. But what is your vision for a city that is kind of done, because we won the war, and I still think it's kind of a war, back to what you said before, but Come on, the motorists are complaining that we're taking the space away. They took the space away
Yeah,
from everybody
I
else,
agree.
man. So we're just taking it back. Anyway, what's your vision for the ultimate sustainable bicycle-friendly city?
I mean, it's somewhere where anybody from any level, at any age, can feel safe cycling. This is to me, I want to see families cycling, I want to see elder people cycling, I want to see disabled people cycle. This is the best criteria you can get of a good cycling, This is the best criteria you can get of a cycling-friendly city, is seeing anybody cycle, from any age, any level, any health condition. And we know today that cycling is a solution to tackle the climate change challenge. We know that cars are part of the problem, and we know that cycling is a solution to the car problem. So to me, a city that would be done is a place, where you can go anywhere around, anybody can go anywhere around cycling safely, quickly, without feeling scared or bothered.
I often say that if you don't see cycling as part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So I'm really happy to have met you and know that you're obviously on the right side of the team.
I'm on board.
Right? Yeah. Cool.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Yann.
Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure.